not advancing downhill. It's more in a, parallel direction, moving in a north-south kind of an orientation. So it is advancing very slowly in that area. It did cross the residential driveway, multiple locations, making it very difficult to access the entire property at this time. We also have a breakout just to the west or above the transfer station perimeter fence. It did breach the perimeter fence this morning at about 8. A very narrow finger of lava came down onto the transfer station property where they have a driveway that basically circles the entire property. I would estimate that that finger that broke out was maybe 2 to 3 feet wide at the most. The activity along that area is still showing signs of inflation around the perimeter fence, and it's moving also towards Apa'a Street on the south side of the property. And then we have a breakout that's further upslope, approximately 0.37 miles upslope from the Apa'a Street area. So it's above the transfer station, moving in a northeast direction at approximately, based on yesterday's measurements and today, about 220 yards over the last 24 hours. So we're monitoring all of that. No brush fire threat at this time. The grounds are still fairly wet out there. We see a lot of puddling, especially out in the open area above Apa'a Street. It's also in the area that we had a previous brush fire, so no real fuel situation or fuel loading there. So we're definitely watching all of these breakouts. None of them are posing an immediate threat to any area residents. The burning that's ongoing presently at the residential property, it is affecting a fish pond type of a structure there, or a reservoir that has a plastic or vinyl liner. So on occasion the liner is burning, and we have intermittent episodes of some black smoke, but for the most part it's just vegetation that's burning. Also above the transfer station, in those two other breakouts, it's just vegetation that's burning. Smoke conditions this morning, because of the light winds coming out of the west almost, we had smoke setting down over the Pahoa, Lower Puna area. I would describe it as moderate this morning. Also with a little bit of cooler temperatures, it was settling down over the area, but as the day heats up, we're already seeing that the smoke has dissipated quite a bit and is basically rising straight up from anywhere that we have a burning activity, so nothing settling over the community.
Hi, Daryl. Tom of the Tribune Herald. Is the garage structure still standing on that property?
Yes, it is. We actually walked through that property within the last maybe an hour and a half. There was no advancement on the garage property. As you recall, yesterday I shared that the flow actually came right up to the sidewalk, putting the actual flow within 2 feet of the wall of that structure, and it hasn't advanced at all. We do see inflation, though. Yesterday we saw that the pad, or the flow pad there, was probably about 2 feet high. Right now, today, it's probably more than 4 feet tall, just behind the garage structure. So it has not been taken, and we still see activity around the garage structure.
Hi, Daryl. This is Sarah with KHON. How far away is that breakout away from the nearest home?
It's still, the closest home, if we drew a straight line, would be the properties that are below the cemetery, putting them at least 400 to 500 yards away from where the activity is. And again, the active portion of this flow is not moving in a direction towards those structures. It's actually moving, if I have to describe it, almost away from those structures, but parallel to Pahoa Road.
Daryl, this is Colin Stewart, the Tribune Herald. Can you tell us the structure that burned down yesterday? Was that insured?
In talking to the property owners, it was not. They were unable to secure insurance because of the location with regards to the volcanic hazards. So it was not an insured structure.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Daryl, how's it? Brooks at KITV in Honolulu. Question for you. On Apa'a, there's a water tank, a large water tank, and I'm wondering, how critical that is, what purpose that serves, and if there's anything being done or any thought being given to protecting that in some way, shape, or form.
The water tank is a definite piece of critical infrastructure. If it is impacted, the water department does have contingency plans to basically split the water system and provide water service to the communities that might be separated. So if they lose that particular well or that particular tank, they do have a contingency plan to overcome any kind of impact that may present with. As far as any protective measures, not at this time. Right now, we're still waiting to see if the flow will take a path or track in that direction. It's still unknown. It's still very early to forecast that. And maybe, HVO could probably provide you with a better idea of how difficult it is to forecast the track with any certainty. But at this point, we are aware that that is a critical infrastructure, as well as along Apaw Street in the same area are Helco's one of their primary transmission lines. So in addition to water, there is electrical infrastructure that would be at risk as well. But I'm not sure if you're looking for maybe a more qualitative answer from HVO as far as the forecasted path and, again, the difficulties with making that prediction this far out.
Daryl Thompson with the Tribune Herald. In regards with the house again yesterday, I know it was, of course, vacant. The tenants had moved out, but is there any assistance the county can provide, perhaps the property owners themselves, with in regards to the loss of the home?
Well, we have been in direct contact with the property owners. They have not requested any assistance. What they have mentioned to us is that in the event there is an opportunity for possible federal programs to kick in, they would definitely be interested in applying. What we did share with them is at this point we do not have a individual assistance program application in because up until this point we have not experienced any impact with regards to property damage to private property. So although it's early, again, we're hopeful that we don't lose any more structures, but should the event continue and we see a much greater impact, then we definitely be putting in for an individual assistance program. FEMA is on the ground and collecting information about the uniqueness of this particular hazard and how it's playing out. So we do have FEMA representatives here. But going back to your question, the family has not requested any assistance. We are in direct contact with them, and we're supporting them as best we can. But right now, they are managing without any assistance.
Daryl, just as a follow-up question to that, can you tell us, is there any kind of historical precedent for the county receiving FEMA individual assistance for lava impacts? For instance, was that applied for and received with Kalapana?
I'm not aware. We are still working with FEMA for the current event. What may be something that was utilized back in Kalapana and may be a potential source of some support or assistance, it deals with relocation. So even the FEMA staff at this point is not certain if there is currently any program that could be made available, and they're also researching it given the uniqueness of this particular circumstance. And again, with what records they have as well as records we have with Kalapana, it's uncertain if there were any programs made available then.
Aloha, Daryl. It's me, Lincoln with Hawaii News Now. Just wanted to check in regards to the Pahoa transfer station. I know it's been some time now since we talked about the status of the structures on that particular lot. Are there any hazardous dangers that you guys are taking into consideration given the fact that that narrow finger, as you mentioned, has moved through that gulch, over that berm, and is now passing through the driveway of the property?
As far as any hazardous materials on site, right now there aren't any other than the structures themselves. It's primarily steel open bays in the section that was used for the refuse collection. And then they have a building that was used for the office and restroom and other facilities. That is a wood exterior panel and some masonry drywall type of construction. So no additional hazards are on site. They removed all of the compactors, any hydraulic equipment, any hazardous material that was stored on site has been removed.